Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And as you probably know, I have had more than my fair share of that this week. Why isn't this working? Ah, oh, that's probably why. There we go. Uh, for those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week. And what we have done is we've split up the 3 different broadcasts into 3 different areas because we all have to cope with these different areas every week. So on Friday lunchtime, we talk about coping with feelings, because boy, do I have them. And then on Friday evenings, we talk about coping with life. And that's normally a fun cooking type stuff thing, how to manage, get most out of your budget. And then on Sunday afternoons, we talk about coping with stress, which is what this one is about. And I'm hoping that you will all enjoy this. This particular broadcast, because it's sort of a little bit of leftover of this, that, and the other. Before I go on, I just wanted to, hi there, Jody. Jody, for those of you who don't know, is our admin. And Jody, just for the record, I have now switched it that only subscribers can comment. Just so that you know, because I thought that might save you a bit of work with the trolls that we had. Obviously, we'll still get some that want to get smart, but I thought it might minimize it a little bit. So that's thought I'd let you know before I forget. The whole thing about coping with stress is to realize that we all need it. It's good for us to have stress. It keeps us on our toes. It's the fight and flight type reaction that we need. It gets our adrenaline going, gets us coping with stuff a lot better. And so from that perspective, I don't ever think that stress is altogether a bad thing. It's not. It's when we get overloaded with it that we have the problem. So again, I love to quote this. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh. He said, "Smile, breathe, and go slowly." And, I repeat it regularly because that is my mantra, smile, breathe, and go slowly. And as you will hear, I had a lot of reason to do that this week. For those of you who don't know, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We use Facebook particularly as our sort of notice board. So if we've got any updates for you in terms of other viewers that we think that you will care about, things that have happened to them or that they've let me know and said I could share. That's where we put it up on Facebook. And obviously all the programs that we do, all the broadcasts that we do, we actually put up warnings on both Facebook, Twitter, and obviously on YouTube as well. So hopefully that works for you. Before we start our main discussion, hi there, Jeannie. Before we start our main discussion, let me just do some thoughts and prayers. First of all, my thoughts and prayers for all of you in the swath of that winter weather advisory. I believe that you're going to get the weather that I say goodbye to. I like to share. And I can assure you, I am not sad to get rid of it because, as you can hear, it had its effect on me, that's for sure. So just be careful and be safe. And I'm going to talk a bit more about emergency preparedness in a minute, but just take it easy. We know that Nyasha had her birthday on the 1st of January, and I believe that the twins, Enoch and Elias, have their birthdays coming up on the 20th. We're not quite there yet, are we? And then Erin's on the 26th, and I know that Becca's is on the 28th. So those are the birthdays that I know of in January. If any of you have got a birthday or an anniversary that's particularly important to you, and you are a subscriber, one that we, would like to acknowledge, please make sure you let us know at dearmamasal@gmail.com and I will add you to the list. And my thanks, as usual, to Lynn, wherever you are and whoever you are, for the kind work that you do on the little pictures that we put up called thumbnails. I just, as you know, you all know I love them to bits. So have any of you got any stress going on this week? And if so, what has caused it? And while you're typing, let me give you a quote to start with about, we're doing the quotes at the moment about new beginnings, because it's beginning of a new year. JP Morgan said the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. All right, now whatever that is, and you know that that's the way that I constantly live my life, and as you're going to hear, I spend my time getting everything tidy, and then I go, okay, now what's the next thing I need to do? And what do? Untidy everything in order to be able to achieve it. But it is the way that I work, and it does seem to work for me, and so I am happy about that. I talk about stress. I decided that this is now the time to work on the studio, and the one step I want to take in January is to get the carpet down. Now that probably sounds quite easy until you remember that my studio is the junk room. It has all the boxes that have not yet been unpacked following the fire coming back, which is a year now that nearly a year that I've been back. But it's just like, anyway, I got the unit out. I emptied half of it and then managed to get the unit out. And then in trying to get it back in again, all hell let loose. And just enough to say that I'm basically going to have to unbuild it, get the carpet flat underneath it, and then rebuild it again. But I've done it once, so I know how to do it. And it's just going to take time. And that's something that I hopefully have got plenty of. Excuse me. So, but in the meantime, it's difficult to get in there. And secondly, we also have the problem now where my very tidy craft room no longer is tidy. So, I don't know if any of you are laughing or smiling because you relate to it, but I hope that you do. And so now the faster I can get that unit unbuilt and rebuilt, the faster I can get my stuff out of the craft room and out of the way again, which gives me an opportunity to repack everything in more logical places than I did before. And I noticed I've got some stuff in there that don't, that just, I've got material and stuff that quite honestly, I haven't used. I'm not sure if I ever will, but, that's stuff that doesn't have to be in that room. It can go in the shed, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, Jeannie is saying that, she got some stress from the hostage situation in Texas at the synagogue there. Isn't it wonderful that everybody, except for the perpetrator, everybody got out alive? And I found it very interesting listening to the rabbi that was talking about it, that he credits the fact that he's done so much, he and the congregation, have done so much emergency preparedness stuff around that sort of thing happening, that he reckons that's what saved everybody's lives. So wonderful. I like to give blessings and rather than feel stressed about it. I'm just so grateful that everybody got out all right. Yeah, and Jeannie is saying that as well. Glad every hostage was freed and healthy. Yes, but scarred. But scarred. We know that for anybody who's been in a trauma situation like that, you will never ever forget that day. It'll be with you for the rest of your life. T.S. Eliot said, every moment is a fresh beginning. So I don't know what you were coping with yesterday, but you don't have to cope with it today necessarily. I don't know what you were coping with an hour ago, but you can choose not to be coping with it today. And again, when you can just live in the moment, you're going to be a happier person. And funny enough, stress isn't nearly as bad. I got a real sense of humor about the chaos I caused yesterday, where when I realized that the unit was halfway through the doorway, And then, even breathing in deeply was a little bit of a challenge getting back into the room. I mean, I hope you can see that picture. And I'm going, well, there's motivation for me to lose a bit more weight again. But I managed to get in again. And then when it fell apart, because it is something, it's made out of those cubey things, that sort of go together. Can you see one from there? Yeah, there's one there. They go together with those little discs that you plug everything into. Well, when I tried to get it back in again, I'd forgotten that the feet do not slide as well on carpeting as they did on the floor. And so that's why it messed it up. But, it is what it is, and I can do this. Good news. Oh, let me show you. Hang on a second. All right, so now here's good news. The good news is here is the paint for my laundry room. Those cupboards that I'm trying to get done. Here is the stir stick for that. So shake well before use. These are the doorknobs that I picked. I just picked easy ones. I didn't go mad about that. It is the laundry room, after all. But even so, you'll want to see it, knowing my viewers. Okay, so easy just to take one out. So, okay, so they're pretty standard, just easy brush nickel knobs, and then in here I've also got the new hinges, which are also brushed nickel. So that's white, and so I think that hopefully will look really nice. I noticed that it's velvet finish, and I can't remember ordering that, but it is what it is. I'm going to use it and not worry about it. I would have liked high gloss on there, but heck, let me just go with what it is. Now then, the reason that I wanted to talk about it is because this is a project cubie, right? So this is like, I know everything I need for the laundry room is in there. Can you see that the good news is that I've got all the stuff? And then the stress is I need to start doing it. And so was this ideally the best time for me to also try and work on the studio? Well, no. But there was a reason for that. I was not very well this week, as some of you know, and I do apologize for having to cancel the broadcast, but I literally woke up on Friday wheezing. I mean, I literally was having, every time I breathed in, there was this, death rattle going on. And I just wasn't well. And I knew that I couldn't even pretend to do the broadcast. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can just suck it up and just go, okay, I'll just do the broadcast anyway. But I had a feeling that doing that would probably go against me rather than go for me. It might have made other people happy, but it was going to be dangerous for me. So I didn't do it. And so to me, I instead of, I sat down and I binge watched a lot. But what I tried to do is every hour I tried to get up and do something in the studio. And I got far enough ahead that I went to pull out the unit. Never mind. So now can you see that the getting all the stuff, how long have I been talking about getting ready to do this job? I've been preparing for this for a whole season, right? I spent the whole of sort of late summer and early winter working out what do I need, and then I ordered it. And then what I did is every week I ordered a little bit more until I had everything that I needed to do it. Make sense? Because that's how I reduce my stress. And I know that the longer I can prolong that, then I don't have to feel guilty because I haven't started it. And so I'm happy that I've got all those bits together and I'm now ready to go. Now, I did ask a question a couple of weeks ago. If you had to do the, a whole wall of cupboards, would you take all the doors off first, empty everything and then paint it? And a lot of people said that they would. I actually intend to only take one door off at a time, empty the cupboard, repaint it inside, then organize everything back, repaint the door, 2 coats, probably take at least 2. Put the hinges back on, put the knobs on, and then only then move on. Now, in the meantime, this year, it'll probably take me most of the year to get this done. And in the meantime, anybody who comes to visit is going to see a half-finished project. I don't mind. Yeah, Jodi's also saying she'd go one by one. It would feel more manageable to her. I felt the same way. I asked myself the question, what would stress me the least? And quite honestly, seeing the doors of all of my laundry room with all the gunk that is in there, it's all my, it's my pantry, it's my, spare light bulbs, so many things that are just in there. And so I just know it would look a terrible mess. And taking one cupboard out at a time, that to me would even if somebody walked in there, it isn't going to look too bad, especially if I warn them it's happening. Plato said that the beginning is the most important part of the work. How many of you know I have done enough to get started on the project, and I've got the rest of my life to finish it, quite honestly. Now, as we know, none of us know how long the rest of our life is. It could be tomorrow for all I know. But so I'm not going to make a big mess. I'm not going to make my life miserable doing it. I'm just going to pick one day a week where I do it. That it's my project for one day. I don't know about the rest of you. I control my stress by having one major project a day. When I say one major project, if I do nothing else, let me do this. I also divide my day up into hours. I have a get dressed and get exercised hour. I have a tidy up the house hour. I sort of have these different hours that I work through, and it does help me a great deal, reduce a lot of the stress, because once I've done it, I can choose what I want to play with from that point onwards. Jeannie's saying this is a good job to do and learn during these days of COVID. You'll feel safe and be accomplishing something. Yes, as you know, I believe that the reason that I have the attitude I do is I'm always on to my next project. Have you noticed that? As fast as I finish one, I'm on to the next one. So, but this time, I foolishly started on 2 this week without meaning to. And I just had to laugh about that. By the way, talking about COVID, a lot of people have asked me, is what I have Omicron? I have no idea. All I know is I woke up really struggling with the wheezing. And luckily I was going to be speaking to the doctor anyway. And what happened was when I told him what was going on, he just immediately, prescribed the drugs I need, the inhalers. And then, I got the inhalers on Friday just after all the pharmacy had closed and my doctor was closed. And I'm going, I can't remember how to use these. So Jody, thank you so much for being knowledgeable enough to tell me how to use the 2 different inhalers, because quite honestly, I think I would have been a little stressed out had I not known. So again, part of my stress relief is having knowledgeable friends. By the way, who doesn't need some knowledgeable friends? So can you see that If I wanted to get rid of all the junk in the craft room, I could. All right, that's the next thing I looked at and said, that is disgusting, the crud that is now out there. And I asked myself, do you want to spend an hour, maybe this evening, packing that stuff into boxes and closing putting them away, maybe in my bedroom or somewhere, so that so that the craft room is tidy again. And I may well do that. And that's really important. I also was so sad. I think a lot of you know I'd really been looking forward to having Yvonne and Wade over for Christmas. We delayed Christmas because of the terrible weather that we'd had. And it was meant to happen on yesterday. And of course, because I had all the symptoms that I had, I wasn't sure whether what I had was Omicron or not. So what I did was I decided this is not my call, it's theirs. And so on Friday, knowing that Saturday was the day we were meant to meet up, on Friday, I sent a text to Yvonne and said, hey, you guys, this is what's happening. I have no idea whether this is just asthma caused by the bad weather or whether this is, a touch of Omicron going through. I have no idea. But I do need you to decide if you want to take the risk. That is your call, not mine. And they decided not to take the risk. And although my heart dropped, do you know that feeling where your heart drops and you go, oh, my heart dropped because we have already delayed. And I'd kept all the Christmas tree up and everything and all the lights outside. I kept it all up ready for them to come visit. And then I went, okay, they're not coming. And so again, rather than feel really sad and dwell in that, because what's the point? I decided to use the extra time I had on Saturday to take down the lights outside. And I know some of you are saying, but you were sick. And I said, yeah, a little bit. But I still need fresh air every day. And so I paced myself very carefully. I literally, went outside, did a little bit, and then when I started to feel cold or tired, I just turned around and went back inside for another hour. And then, once I'd sort of regrouped, then I went outside for half an hour. And that's what I did until it was done. So all the Christmas lights outside on the garden are now in. The only Christmas lights I still have to do are the ones, where are they? On my deck. And so that's really, I'm halfway through those as well. So I probably, they're going to get finished in the next couple of days. All right. So, did any of you have any surprises this week that maybe caused you stress? And when I look at it, it's sometimes surprises can be good things, and sometimes they're very stressful. I'm not somebody who likes surprises a whole lot. What about you? How do you feel about surprises? And I'm amazed how many people seem to think that surprise birthday parties and things are a good thing to do. I personally am not sure that they are. I mean, it's really nice to suddenly see all your friends or whatever, but I don't know about you. I would rather be, dressed appropriately for that rather, and I'd rather have warning. So remember that, if you don't want to cause stress to your friends, make sure you know your friends, right? Is this the sort of thing that they would like or not? And you will save them a lot of stress if you honor that. How about this one? Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. As I said to you, my biggest problem is every time that I get something sorted, I then look at it again and go, what's the next thing I want to do? And I unsort everything. Yes, Jane is saying, I do not enjoy many surprises. Yeah, and that's why I thought I would mention that. It's really important for us to understand that not everybody likes surprises. Mind you, if somebody walked in and handed me, a check for $1 million, I don't think I'd mind that surprise. Talking of which, I think there may be a scam out there at the moment. I suddenly noticed that if somebody, by the way, this is the first red flag for me. I noticed somebody who I hadn't heard of for over a year suddenly wrote to me and wished me a happy birthday, a happy new year, and then asked me whether I'd heard of this particular grant that was available. And it has to do with United Nations. And I got a red flag in my mind because that wasn't the sort of thing that person would, start with. All right. They're a much more caring person than that. So what I did was I ignored it. And the next thing I got was a question saying, "Are you there?" Now, again, the person that this came from is not a pushy sort of person. So that's a second red flag. So then what I did is I did two things. I wrote back and said, and asked a question, what was the name of that person's husband, which I thought was a good place to start. And then I spent the next little while writing an email and saying, "I've got a feeling your Messenger account might have been hacked. And if it hasn't, write back to me on your email so I know that it's okay. But on the other side, if you didn't send this message, please change your password on Facebook." So I just want to tell you, if you get something, and the interesting thing is they came back and gave me the name of the husband, which surprised me. And said, "No, this is me, and I thank you for caring about me." And I'm still not convinced. All right. And so now what I'm busy doing is waiting for a reply to the email. And so, we'll see. But so just be extra aware. The scammers are out at the moment. All right. So now here's an interesting thing. Every now and then I come across something and it surprises me. And if it surprises me, chances are that it surprised you as well. And so here was the question. I think you probably all know that people rate cars in how fast they can go from 0 to 60, right? Being the shorter the time, the faster the car, the more vroom it's got, and therefore more fun. But have you ever, you probably might know this, but I didn't know that. Do you know how long it takes a cheetah to go from 0 to 70 kilometers an hour? All right. What, Jody? Can you quickly just find out for me how many miles is 70 kilometers? That would be about 40, maybe 50, something like that. Anyway, Jody will sort it out for us. But the question is, how long do you think it takes? And I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it was in kilometers. Otherwise, I would have done the calculation myself. Yeah, interesting. Jody's saying about my comment about the scam possibility. Good on you for being cautious even after they provided the name of the husband. Well, there was, and by the way, they have again said, "Are you there?" sort of thing. Now, again, it's just not like that person to push me. Therefore, oh, thank you, Jody. Jody is saying, all right, so Jody is saying that 70 kilometers is 43.5 miles. Thanks, honey. I really appreciate that. So here you go. How long do you think it takes a cheetah to go from 0 to 43 miles an hour? Have a guess. Now, I know you all know that cheetahs are pretty fast animals. In fact, I believe the fastest animal in the world. So anybody want to have a guess at that? Those of you watching on the replay, guess away because I'm about to give you the answer. Yeah, Jody's saying, what about 10 seconds? All right. What I found out was that the time actually is only 3 seconds. Yeah, we know it's the fastest animal in the world. Thanks, Jenny, saying, cheetahs are extremely fast. But I don't know. I didn't expect it to be that fast. So from standstill to 40 miles an hour takes it 3 seconds. And by the way, that's one leap, I would think, because they're inclined to, gallop along, right? And so that to me is, I don't know about you, but it was surprising. um, whoops, hang on a second. I was talking about the winter advisory for some of you, and please be careful and look after yourselves. But do you know that after we had that ridiculous snowfall that we don't normally have, the ones that we've sent over to the East Coast now, we followed it this week with 8 inches of rain. Go figure. This is British Columbia, people. We don't get weather like this normally. Hi, Ordinary Girl. Good to see you. Oh, that's interesting. Ordinary Girl saying she thought I said cheaters, as in people who cheat. That's really funny. I should have mentioned the animal. And Jody is adding, because now she's been doing some research because she's interested, a cheetah can leap 35 to 45 feet. That is insane. So a cheetah can leap. How high is your ceiling, people? That's like four floors, isn't it? 45 feet would be about 4 floors. No. Is that a leap forward or not a leap up necessarily? See, what I love about doing this broadcast, I always learn something. You guys think you're the ones that learn, but believe you me, I always learn something every time I do anything here. All right, and this is nice, people, for New Year. Nothing in the universe can stop you from letting go and starting over. So think about that. What is it you want to let go of this year and start again? So think about that. Okay, thank you for the definition there. Jody's saying that cheetah thing, it can jump or leap. Okay, so jump is high and leap is forward, right? 35 to 45 feet. That is beyond my sort of understanding. It can leap 45 feet. That is insane. I mean, I'm thinking, Jody, that's longer than my house, isn't it? Think about that, people. How long is your dwelling space, whether it's an apartment or a house or whatever? How long is it? And I'm going, that is scary stuff. Or maybe how wide is it? I would say most houses are 40 feet wide. So a cheetah can literally leap the width of your house. Oh, now don't want to mess with one of those. I had a big celebration day this week. For those of you who've been with me a while, this was my 9th year of quitting smoking. And I was talking to Yvonne, my friend, about how long we had quit for and how much money we'd saved. And part of what I wanted to find out was, she quit in the September. And I said to her, if you stay not smoking, and you're not smoking by the 1st of January, I will give up. If I will give up smoking. And I actually did it on the 12th. And so on the 12th of January, it's 9 years since I'd given up smoking. And we worked it out that probably the average cost of cigarettes in Canada over that period of time would have been about $15 a pack. And so therefore, I have not smoked $40,000 worth of cigarettes. Think about that. What have I done with that money, you ask? Bought food. Well, thank you for the congratulations. And I can tell you without a doubt, I haven't had so much as a puff, because I can assure you, if I had so much as a puff, I'm an addict for cigarettes, right? If I had just one puff, I'd be justifying it. Well, if I can have a puff, I probably have one puff a day, and then it's, oh, well, maybe I can have one cigarette a day. They say 5's not going to hurt you too much. And then it'll be one after every meal. And then, believe me, I've been down this route before. I know what happens. And so for any of you that gave up smoking, congratulations. And if you have, let me know. How many years is it since your last cigarette? And the thing that I think I am most pleased about is that I went through all the problems with the fire and everything else, and I didn't smoke. And that to me was the important part. Yeah, Ordinary Girl is saying, I quit in 2017. Well done. Boy, and just don't take that puff, all right? Occasionally, what I do is I'll walk up to a smoker, and it always blows their minds, but I'll walk up and I go, could you blow that smoke my way so I can inhale it? And they go, what? And I said, I still like the smell of cigarettes. When I say like it, it doesn't make me gag or throw up or do anything. I still quite enjoy it. So every now and then I will literally go, I see people, hiding them behind their back or whatever. And I say, I say to them, I want you to listen very carefully. Could you take a really deep drag and then just blow it over me? And they can't. They're so used to, blowing it to the side or pretending they're not smoking or whatever. It's really interesting to watch the body language. So for all of you who have given up, congratulations. I know what it took. But think about that. If you were able to do that, what else could you do this year? All right. And that's what I want you to think about. What else could you get rid of? One of the things that I've been reading about this week is, we keep thinking that adding things makes things better. For example, if you're going to change your recipe, well, if I added this and this, it would be a better recipe. What I was reading is that we need to change that thinking if we can, and talk about what can I take away from it. As you know, I found out that I can make a mug cake without putting in a lot of the stuff that they say. I just literally take the powder and add an egg and a little bit of water, and that's it. There's sort of all sorts of things that I'm finding out that you don't have to have them. By the way, Judy, I talked to you on this one because I know that you love these sort of things. I was reading somewhere this week that the psyllium husk, that's the stuff they put in Metamucil. The psyllium husk, if you are short of eggs, you can mix psyllium husk instead of an egg. It's a binder. So I thought that was quite interesting. If you're making muffins or things and you don't want that extra protein, just a thought. All right, here's a nice quote for you all, guys. Listen to this. Never allow waiting to become your new habit, right? Live your dreams and take the risks. Life is happening now. All right, so you understand, when I realized that I wasn't well enough to do the broadcast, that my voice wouldn't hold out, and really I was going to sound terrible, wheezing and coughing and doing all sorts of things. What I said is, what can I do? I think you all know I am a person that constantly says, okay, don't let me dwell on what I can't do. Let me dwell on what I can do. And what I did was I just said every hour I'm going to go into the studio and take one more step. And, that's what got me into trouble. But by the way, by the time I completely caused chaos, I said, and now would be a good time to stop. Because you are not firing on all cylinders, and it's not the end of the world. It's a mess, and it's just going to upset you, and this is where you will do too much, so don't do it. Look at it again tomorrow, which is today. Now then, last week we were talking about the cars that got stranded wherever they were, and they were stranded for 24 hours. You remember that? And we asked the question, is it better to keep your car running and save the battery, or is it better to turn the battery off, turn the car off, and then when it gets too cold, switch it back on again and run it for enough time? And I said I wasn't quite sure. I was worried about if you kept turning the car off and on again, it would drain the battery pretty fast. And I said to you, I'm going to ask somebody who knows about things like this, and I did. And I thought I would share that with you. So if ever you get caught in a snowstorm and you are freezing, remember, have that old sleeping bag in the car somewhere, just so that you can keep warm. But here's what I heard back. In most cases, yes, you could last for 4 or 5 days, depending on the amount of fuel. Another good reason to make sure that you always have a pretty full tank. They say don't let it go below 50% in the winter. I would suggest don't let it go below 3/4 if you've got really bad weather coming in. So it says, depending on the fuel amount, right? Whereas leaving the vehicle running until it runs out of fuel would happen sooner and probably cause engine issues. But here's what they said. It's important to keep warm while you're stranded. And theoretically, if the vehicle has no charging or battery issues, all right, you can run the vehicle for short periods of time, and that would be the better option. They're saying, especially if you're likely to be stranded for a long time. The period of 15 to 20 minutes with a slightly higher RPM, vroom, vroom. All right. So if it normally idles at this level, just take it up a tad, because when you take it up a tad, it's forcing the battery to recharge. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. And it says, by forcing slightly higher RPM will enable the charging system to perform longer and allow a person to stay warm for perhaps several days, depending on your fuel capacity. Ensure that your tailpipe, this is an interesting thing, make sure your tailpipe is not buried in snow. So, if you can, get out and make sure you've got some clearance behind your exhaust. All right? Because you don't want that blowing back into the car, because then you will have a bit of a problem. So I don't know about you, but that went against my thinking. But it's good to know that you could last for way over 24 hours. He's saying 3 to 5 days if you do it carefully, and if each time you're just slightly above the idling speed, so in the RPM, so that it will keep the battery charging. Interesting stuff, I thought. Any comments on that one? Anybody else got any stress they want to talk about? This would be a good time. Excuse me. Emergency preparedness. I took another step forward this week. I was so excited. All right. Here it is. You remember, I have now got lights that work in an emergency, all right? If the power goes out, I've got light. And I said to you, the one thing I haven't got is a way to make coffee. Wait 1 second. So what I did was I did an experiment. And what I wanted to know was, we know that I've got this battery, emergency battery thing. And this will keep my phone going for many hours, and it also will allow me to recharge my phone and my tablet. Very important. And I believe it will also run my Wi-Fi if I wanted to. However, what I wanted to know was, how can I eat? Presuming, as I said, for 24 hours, you can eat out of baked beans out of a can, you can do all sorts of things. But what I wanted to know was, what can I do with my coffee warmer, which I know I can, my coffee warmer, I can run on this, because it is only, no glasses here. Hang on a second, people. When in doubt. Anyway, whatever it was, I remember reading that I could use it on here. So I did some experiments with it, and what I found was, it is ideal for warming up food. In other words, if you've got a can of something and you want to warm up what's in the can, put it in a mason jar. Put it in a mason jar and just put the lid on. Don't screw it down. Just put the lid on and let it warm up. Does a great job. But what it doesn't do is cook food. Fair enough? Now, I had great fun, as Jody knows, that after the last broadcast, I did some experiments on how do I cook food. The first thing I did was I took the baked bean can and I cut a couple of slits in it so that I could do that to it. And then what I did is I put a couple of tea lights inside it. Can you all see that? All right. Good news. It actually heated water to the point of boiling it. So I thought you'd all like to know that. When I say boiling it, it was just getting bubbles in it. I'm not sure whether I would cook meat with that. I don't think it would be hot enough, but certainly it would be useful for a lot of things. All right, so Jeannie's saying stress. I had blood work for her annual physical. Says you're not getting enough water. You could be dehydrated. Yes, interesting. I would say think liquid in general. All right, because water comes in all different ways. All right. Water comes in all different ways. For example, eating a lot of cucumber, a lot of celery will all, those are water-based vegetables would be one thing. But soups, where it's got a lot of liquid in it, so don't just think water. Obviously, increase your water intake. I have a system now, Jeannie, which really helps me whenever I take my meds in the morning, which, getting to be quite a few now. I make sure that I take a couple of, take the meds, and then I have a water bottle, and I take 2 big glugs of water before I take the next couple of meds, all right? Then I take 2 big glugs of water. So every morning I'm drinking probably nearly 8 ounces just in taking my meds. And that's what I try to do is, before meals, I take a couple of big things. The other thing is, if you can, keep big water bottles close to you. And if you don't like the taste of water, you know that I keep the rinds from my oranges and my any citrus, and I just put them. I just actually top this up, so water is still clear. But after about 8 hours, this will start going cloudy as the oils from the citrus fruit permeate into the water. Tastes great. Love it. All right, so we know that I've now got the preparedness ready for the phones and so forth. But cooking was an issue. So I did the research and I got myself this week now this little burner. Okay. So first of all, I want you to see that it does not color coordinate with my kitchen, which is a good thing because you shouldn't be using this inside. So it runs on butane, and they recommend you only use that outside, anything like that. So remember, the biggest problem you have with asphyxiation and fires and stuff is the wrong stuff being used inside. So this one has, doesn't at the moment, it's on my shopping list for next week. This one has a canister that looks like a hairspray bottle. All right. And what happens is you click it in here and then you secure it in like that, and then you can use it. Pretty simple. Not a lot to go wrong. Very light. Even I can hold it in one hand, and I've got arthritis. What I like about it is when I'm not using it, okay, it fits into this. All right, and pretty. I don't know about you, but that to me is a pretty good way to keep that emergency system. Remember, if you've got a can, it will heat water. I could have made coffee on a tin can. So, any questions? Well, Jody's saying such a useful gadget. It's just one more thing. One more step into my emergency preparedness, right? Now, I'm still thinking that I may get one of those tiny little camping stoves where you just use twigs. I would put this, by the way, if I needed to use it, I would put it on my electric barbecue. Now, some of you are saying, why don't you just get a charcoal barbecue? Because I can't carry those, the propane tanks, right? But what I realized, and it's on my list of things to do this week, is somewhere in the shed, I have got a baby barbecue that works on wood, with charcoal, or which is what wood is. And so now what I'm going to do is find it, clean it up this spring, ready for next year. And then have that as my plan B for next winter. Charlotte's saying, Sal, I used your soap in the hair trick. Sal genius. Thank you so much. Yes, for those of you who don't know what Charlotte's talking about, when I did the program of some of the hacks that we had done during the year, I said that one of the ones that had saved me so much money was I found out that when I wash my hair, if the first time, the first lathering is, I just use Irish Spring, all right? And it lathers up really well, and it takes the gunk out. And then I use the expensive stuff. And there's part of me that still has a dirty great question mark, which is wood antiseptic soap, the soap that we're using now to disinfect our hands. We've got this antibacterial soap. Would that work as anti-dandruff? That's my next question. I haven't got that far yet, but I'm going in that route, right? So remember that every moment is a new beginning if you want it to be, all right? So I can look at this and remember, I didn't suddenly go out and buy all of these things, all right? I think you all know that. I planned them and said, okay, these are the next things that I need to be safe. All right. And so this is, I thought for under $50, this was a no-brainer. Oh, the downside is the little canisters that go in it. You have to buy them at about 12 at a time. And yeah. But you know what I thought is, in the summer barbecue season, I can always use it as a side burner for keeping something else, and I'll use up those cans. So, no, actually, Charlotte, they're not from my camping days. This one I bought after the last, I had a power outage of over 9 hours. This one I bought because I wanted to make sure that I can charge up my phone pretty easily. And even if I can charge my phone and my tablet and my laptops from this. And if it runs out, and I'll do experiments for you because I know that's what you're going to be asking me, I can go to my car and turn it on and recharge this and then give myself that ability. All right. Also, think about that. If we are in an earthquake situation or something like that, it means I could help a lot of people charge up their phones, which would make me happy. And this I got because when I had the 9 hours without power, one thing I couldn't get was anything warm. And that's what I said. I need something that I can warm things up on, which is why I did the experiment. Can I warm things up with a can? Yes. So, that can is going, it's in the QB for emergencies. And the other thing is that tea lights are pretty cheap to buy, especially if you get them at the dollar store. So that goes into my emergency preparedness thing. Okay. Actually, I'm not putting this away. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that every week I charge this up, even if I haven't used it. All right? So that's staying in my kitchen. Especially, I'm thinking about those of you who are in the line of the storm that's coming in on the East Coast, right? I now know that when bad weather is coming in, I need water because here I'm on a artesian well. So if I lose power, I also lose water. So, I constantly keep water in my guest bathtub, and gallons of drinking water as well. All right, so Ordinary Girl's saying that if the soap dries your hands out, it will dry your hair out as well. So you're saying that antibacterial soap dries out your hands, is that right? So therefore, you see, this is how I think. Ordinary Girl, laugh with me. So where my mind went immediately? Jody will have watched my eyes work because Jody watches for that. If the antibacterial soap is likely to dry out my hair, thank you for mentioning it, then obviously I need to mix it with a moisturizer, a hair moisturizer. Does that make sense to you? So if I suddenly start losing hair, you'll know why. Now then, talking about these things. I'm always trying to find more uses for things, right? And I just managed to put a really nasty mark across my. I'll sort that out later. Okay. So one use we have for these is that you put your plastic bags in them. The sort that you get your groceries in. These ones. And then I stick them in here, and then I use them for if I've got meat or something that has to go in the garbage or whatever, I have a supply, and I don't need more than 1 tube worth. All right, you guys know that. But I was thinking this week, what else could we use them for? Okay. I can hear my mother screaming at me because I'm about to put my boots on a tabletop. My mother would not like that. Any of you agree? But this is what happens to boots when you put them in the cupboard. And I'm saying, anybody like that one? Now, and those are pretty heavy, in terms of, they're Uggs. So they're pretty heavy in terms of the weight of falling over. Yeah, Jody, I knew you'd like that one. So I might even work towards putting 2 of those in one. All right, when I've got the more. But now I can put them in my boots and keep all my boots more organized because they will hold up. I knew you'd like it, Jody. Now, you do know that I will now work towards getting all my boots standing up properly, and then I'll be asking myself, because that's the way my mind works, what else can I use them for? So, absolutely. Ordinary Girl's saying about the shampoo thing. It makes sense, but watch the combos, because some things can make it worse. I quite agree. I just like having fun. It's the way I keep young is I keep playing with things, right? I'm not sure where this quote came from, but I liked it. And it said, "Trust the wait. Embrace the uncertainty. Enjoy the beauty of becoming. When nothing is certain, anything is possible." And so I look at it this way, Ordinary Girl. If ever I was in a situation where I, ran out of shampoo, would I try it? If I ran out of the anti-dandruff type stuff, right? I probably would. I'm not saying use it forever, but in an emergency, could I use it? All right, now then, in terms of reducing the stress, of things, how many of you know what you're going to do for Valentine's Day? It's a month away. So, do you know what you're going to do? Do you know what you're going to buy? Are you prepared? Because we all know what happens when you keep putting it off. And as I think I told you guys that this last Christmas was the most organized I have ever been for Christmas. And it was so amazing because when I went to go and wrap up presents and things, I could not believe that I had something for everybody that I wanted to have something for and some left over. I was just like, wow, I have, and like literally it was a breeze. And I am so happy that I just, saw things all year and added them to my shopping list and just had things ready. And still did some last minute ones just for fun. All right, so think about that. Do you know what you're doing for Valentine's Day? And if you do, then you will not be stressed out because you will start buying now, you will start baking now, you will start making now. All right, you'll be ahead of the game. Mandy Hales said, change can be scary. But do you know what's scarier? Allowing fear to stop you from growing, evolving, and progressing. So think about that. I thought about, I spent another $50 that I didn't have on getting this. But, I felt better for having it. Does that make sense? I felt more secure for knowing that I have it on hand now. So, plus, I saved up to get it, right? I knew what I was going to need, and I saved up to get it, and I already now, I've got a bit more saving going on so I can get the canisters to go with it. Jodie's saying, I am prepared for Valentine's Day, planning on baking a special dessert for Lionel, her husband. He is also prepared that I've already received, yes, he's already given her an early Valentine's Day gift. So this is called No Stress on Valentine's Day. You can just be in love. Isn't that beautiful? I like that. And think about how much easier your life is because of that. Now, the other thing I want you to do to reduce your stress is, and I hinted about this earlier, I want you to think about not adding to your life, but taking things away from your life. And, as you do spring cleaning, because that's what we're doing now all year, as you're doing your spring cleaning, remember that the simplest way I found for doing it literally is to open up a drawer like this, take everything out, and then say to yourself, only half can go back in. And even if everything that you have in the drawer, you definitely do need in there, right? In other words, that you have got it down to exactly what you do need. Think about it and say to yourself, if I can get another drawer, this one looking pretty empty, as you can see. And the reason is because a lot of my mason jars are either in the fridge or in the freezer. All right. So I could end up with eating a lot of stuff. Now, Jody came up with a really good purchase last week, Jody. And I liked it so much, I got one, and I've got to show you. And the reason I want to show you is because it is great if you have leftovers. I'm going to try and get something out of my freezer, but you know what's on top of it. Hold on a second. I was going to need to do that anyway because to get stuff out. All right, so here it is, and it's a little container that has 1 cup portion control in it. And so now what I do is I cook a meal. This was a beef and spaghetti type meal, all right? And I ate half of it, but the other half I put in there, okay? And then froze it. And it comes out at the perfect portion size. Jody, now every meal I cook like this, I'm just taking half of it and freezing it in there. Now, I wanted to show you something. The one thing I found out is they don't want to come out very easily. But of course, we have the hack, all right? So once they've frozen in there, it doesn't like to come out. So all I do is when I want to take it out of the mold, I take the mold and just leave it upside down for about an hour. And the heat of the house will just loosen it enough it'll pop out by itself. And it hasn't thawed, it just has stopped sticking. And then you have a perfect portion control. Yeah, Jody is saying, I love mine too. It's so useful. Well, Jody, I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do. Okay, so I just need to get that back in the freezer and clean up. That was tomato and all sorts of stuff in there. It went in the dishwasher beautifully. No problem at all. So, Jody, what I wanted to ask you, is the bottom of yours plastic? Or is the or is it silicone? Because this is pretty rigid. Yeah, this is plastic, but the top is silicone. All right, Ordinary Girl is asking me, could I run hot water on the back of it? Yes, if I wanted to. All right, but I'm trying to not waste water. So, if that makes sense. So it was just as easy to turn it upside down. So what do you want to downsize for this spring? Hi, Nyasha, good to see you. All right, so that's what I wondered. Jody is saying the one she bought is silicone, so it pops out much more easily. I would definitely, if I bought another one, would buy a silicone one. By the way, for those of you who watched me buy 4 of these, I want to tell you that these are silicone. I do everything in these. All right. I can fit 3 of these into my toaster oven. So as somebody, if you think about it, if you're making a meal, you're going to have meat, vegetables, and starch probably. But, you can literally have 1 in each. I also turn it into a Dutch oven by just putting one on top of the other like this. And so it really is amazing. I definitely, and think about how many things I can throw out now that I've got these. That's what I'm thinking of. So, and I don't know about you, but when I look at my bakeware, a lot of it is past its prime. All right, which one are you talking about there, Ordinary Girl? Always wanted to try, never did. Jody, I've actually baked bread like that in it, using it as a Dutch oven. Bakes bread beautifully like that. So, and I'm pretty, the silicone, right? So that's what I'm saying. I accidentally bought the plastic one instead of the silicone one, but it still works. Now, the other thing I was thinking that I like about it, when I start entertaining, like in the summer and stuff, great things to have little doodads in, like your onions and your tomatoes and pickles and whatever in the summer. All right, perfect. So I might be getting another one anyway. All right, so that was that. How much time have I got left? Okay. So I want you to think about, what is it you want to achieve this spring? All right, let's hear it. When you think about what would you like to achieve by the springtime? Okay. And remember that we're already halfway through January. So if you're not planning it now, you might want to start planning now. For example, do you know what you're going to be planting in the spring? And if so, have you already ordered the seeds? For those of you who are gardeners, all right? Think like that. I've noticed that it's coming up on my follow-up list. Hang on a second. I've just got a regular saying that they cannot comment. I just want to let them know why. That's interesting. I didn't think that would happen. I thought people who are on the regulars will all be subscribers. Sorry for that. All right. So Jody is saying, I am slowly replacing much of our kitchenware as well. 1 or 2 items a month. Yes, I agree with you. Jody's saying she window shops, but then only has a budget that she only buys so much. So I'm thinking between having these for bread, and by the way, I've got one of these in glass. I want to say, without a doubt, the most cost-effective cookware I've ever had in my Pyrex stuff. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've had it forever. And now I've got a feeling, and by the way, I've cooked all sorts of stuff in here that really was, baked on sugars and all sorts of things. And as you can see, they're cleaning up beautifully. After I finished using them, I just put them in the basin and let them soak while I'm binge watching. And then after they've soaked for a good amount of time, then I just put them in the dishwasher. Okay. All right, so that's a pleasure, Jeannie. It's always a pleasure. Then I'm glad to know that you learned a lot. All right, now let me go back to where I was. All right, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit before I go about some other winter hacks, because I know some of you have got some nasty weather coming in. What do you all do with your windshield wipers? Some people put socks on their windshield wipers, makes it, it just gives it that barrier so they don't stick to the windshield. Some people I see actually just lift them away from the windshield. In other words, if you know bad weather's coming in, just literally pop them away from the windshield and then go and put them, after you've cleaned the windshield, put them back again. How do you clean the windshield? Lots of different ways about that. Some people put cardboard in, and that's what some people do is they put cardboard and then put the windshield against the cardboard to hold it on. That's actually not a bad idea. In the morning, you just take the cardboard off and the windshield wipers will be fine. The other thing that I wanted to say, how many of you have plastic bags in the car? So if you know that there is a nasty storm coming in, that you can just tie them over your side view mirrors. All right? Just for the night. And you'll be glad you did in the morning, because that's horrible when they get all frozen up. For those of you, who drove somewhere and then went shopping and came back to the car and the windshield is all frozen up again, get out your credit card. In fact, I recommend keep an old credit card in your wallet, especially for scraping ice. Now, I haven't tried this yet, but I'm going to. If you've got an icy driveway, which I ended up with because one day I didn't clear it, and I was so sorry because it iced up. It's saying that if you mix hot water, alcohol, and dish soap, it will do the job. It'll instantly melt the ice. Now, so the next time I've got ice on the driveway, I will try that for you and let you know if it works. And now I heard this was not a bad idea. For those of you who park your car inside your garage, I thought this was really clever. if you think about it, you've got your car in your garage like this. But if you've been out driving, that didn't come out very strongly, did it? If you've been out driving, you've got a lot of ice underneath. And I thought this was really clever. What they suggested is underneath here, I'm going to draw it first and then show, to take a pool noodle and then a tarp and then another pool noodle. Okay? And then what you do is you drive your car over it, and then as the ice melts, it stays on the tarp. Now, you probably could even put pool noodles here because you could drive over it. But you understand it contains the water and it can evaporate while still on the top. I thought that was quite clever. So that's that. What else did I come up with that I like the idea of? All right. If you lose heat for any reason, this is something. Okay. Obviously, this would act as a heating source, all right? I found it was incredible, the heat that this gave off. I checked it with my thermometer thing, and the outside here was about 100 degrees. So that I thought was quite interesting. However, if you have, get yourself a couple of the small flower pots, the terracotta ones, with the little basin underneath it. And what you do is you put it on something that's not going to burn, obviously, and then put your tea light, and then put your terracotta flower pot on top like this. Now remember, it's got a hole at the top, and what will happen, you probably might even lift it very slightly so the air can be drawn up from underneath, but you will find that terracotta will act as a heating device. It's amazing how much heat it gives off, and the flame is pretty well protected, so you know that it's not going to fall over or anything because it's inside the terracotta. Make sense? So think about that one. Now, the one thing I wanted to let you know that nobody asked me was when I was doing this experiment, one of the questions I asked myself, how hot can this tin can get before it melts? Did anybody think about that? And what if it's aluminum, not tin? I was amazed and surprised to find out that the tin melts at 449, say 450 Fahrenheit, or 232 centigrade. Aluminum, so if you used a Coke can, okay, that goes all the way to 1,220 degrees before it melts, Fahrenheit, or 660 centigrade. All right, so just so you know that no problem there. All right. And for emergency preparedness, both Jeannie and I had fires this year, or in the last little while. One of the things I would encourage you to put on your to-do list, you don't have to do it this week, but have it on your to-do list and keep revisiting it. Maybe every Sunday, think about doing one more thing to add to this list. Remember what I was saying? I'm adding my emergency preparedness things together. I didn't try and get them all in 1 month. One of the things I want to tell you from my experience, sit down, take your valuable jewelry, and bit by bit put it on and take a picture of yourself wearing that piece of jewelry, those earrings, whatever, those rings, put them on, get a picture. Why? One of the most difficult things was to remember what jewelry did I have and could I prove it was mine? And I want to tell you, I probably lost out on a lot of money because I didn't remember half my jewelry until way afterwards when it was too late. The other thing I recommend, every new gizmo that comes into your life that is worth something, take a picture of it and its serial number. All right, so you know that if anything happens, you can prove, and put a date. If if your camera puts dates on it, put a date on it so you know exactly when you bought it. Really good idea. I do keep my paperwork on those things for quite a while, but it's just a thought. Oh, interesting. Medowix is saying that he keeps a pole in his garage floor. So as his car rolls along and hits that, he knows that's as far as he needs to go inside his garage. Yeah, some people hang a tennis ball, I believe. So that's an idea as well. Yeah. Jody's saying, thank you for the great information, Sal. Very much appreciated. Thanks. We can choose to be more prepared and therefore reduce our stress. Absolutely. That is exactly why I wanted to, talk about this. So I'm hoping that you've enjoyed that. I don't know what was your favorite today, but the whole point that I want to show you is, even if we get caught, right, without, and you don't have the backup burner that I've got, you can make yourself, as long as you got tea lights. And the question is, how many tea lights do you have in your house? I found the tea lights lasted for about 2 to 3 hours. I was surprised how long they lasted, quite honestly. So definitely long enough for me to warm up something. It took about an hour to warm up some food, but definitely easy to do. I was really, and I just did it on top of my stove so that it was safe. And by the way, I found that I use my stove a lot instead of a chopping board. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so easy to clean and everything like that. So it's amazing the different way I'm living my life. Martin Luther King said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So changing our lives for the better isn't about perfection. It's about, if somebody asked you, have you done anything to make your life better this week? Have you done anything to make your life less stressed this week? Could you say yes? And if every week you can say that, do you understand? It's going to be wonderful. All right, so Meadowix is saying, I think that the heat and humidity is more depressing than cold. Yes, for some people it is. I quite honestly, I preferred 8 inches of rain to 8 inches of snow. You didn't have to shovel the rain. And so, yes, for some people, that high heat and humidity, and yet some people choose to live in that high heat and humidity. Isn't it amazing? Oh, that's interesting. Thank you, Ordinary Girl. Ordinary Girl is saying, let me see if I can demonstrate this. Okay. If you take alcohol, or I would think, what do you call it? Sterno, right? And you put it into 4 cans like this. Okay. And then put a grill over them. All right. I'd actually probably put them closer together. And then if you have a grill over them, you've created a heat source. Brilliant to cook with. And also a heat source, a multifunctional. You could use it to heat up food or cook food, but you also could use it to heat up your house. Wonderful, thank you. That's why I love doing this stuff, right? Put the alcohol in the middle. Yes, I realized that as I drew it. All right, so Nyasha's saying, for New Year, I promise myself to listen to more self-help, anything to better my behavior, my mood, and well, myself. I can't believe in 3 years I'll be 40. Yes, isn't it amazing? And, I look at it and go, every day I ask myself, what can I do to make myself happier, more comfortable? What can I do to reduce my stress? What can I do, for my friends? I ask those questions all the time. And what I find is that I'm a happier person when I, think of like that. Not complaining about stuff. I don't think you hear me complain a whole lot. All right. Why? I'm always trying to work on what I can do, not what I can't. I did it. I seriously hope that you got something of value out of the broadcast. And if you did, please remember to leave a note below so other people know to watch the video. And I personally thank you very much indeed. And I will make sure that I put a notice up now that I've had that warning come in from Kimmy that she couldn't get in because she isn't a subscriber. So I just want to make sure that people know that they do need to subscribe to be able to, if they want to comment. So that's a good one. It's actually, you understand, the reason I'm doing that is so that we don't, that we keep the trolls away. There've been a few recently and I got fed up with it. I didn't know that there was an option, but I noticed there is an option for that. So this is Dear Mama Sal saying, I love you dearly. I'm really, feel the temperature has risen while I've been doing this broadcast. I will see you, I hope, on Friday. Oh, Kimmy's now saying that she is a subscriber, so I don't know what's causing that. I will double check. Kimmy, if you're listening, which I think you are, I will talk to you about this. Jody, can you make a note that I try and solve that problem? Or that I ask Google to solve that problem? Or YouTube, I'm not quite sure what's going on that she can't get in. I will check that she's not, I haven't put her on a banned list, so that can't be the reason. Would I dare? All right, so Kimmy, don't take it personally. Thank you for letting us know we can do something, hopefully. And this is Dear Mama Sal saying, keep remembering the stress is under your control. It's like a feeling is under your control. We all have feelings and we can control them. We all have stress. It's how we react to it that makes it dangerous or just life. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you so much, Jody, for helping me out again, as usual. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.